Yes, it's another episode of Ears Up in Depth with my close personal co-host, friend, and spirit animal, Jeremy from Spectra Radio. Jeremy, what's going on?
A close personal co-host.
Well, I'll tell you how close we are. I literally almost called you Jerry. So
Some people do call me Jerry.
Hey, Jerry. I mean, Jeremy, whatever your name
you
is.
can call me Jerry.
It's not your name, though.
I've been called Jammy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, like a nickname is fine. Like, you know, I have 400 nicknames for you, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's like calling me, you know, I don't know, Jack.
Kevin.
Yeah. Whatever. It's like, that's not my, this is entirely different. Someone else's
This
name.
wasn't a nickname. This was you getting my name wrong.
That's for exactly what it was. Yeah. It was going to be me getting your name 100% incorrect.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I pulled it out because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, we did it so well. I don't think the listeners know.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'll cut all this out, so don't worry about it. Anyway,
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know.
And then I hear it again when I listen to the show.
You got to. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. We have some hot, fresh off the press Disney news to cover for you guys. Jeremy, did we ever figure out who's going first?
You are.
I'm going first.
You are.
All right. Well, I love that. Well, look, man, this for some reason, this series of shows now, the last few shows, wouldn't be complete without an update on everybody's favorite lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Disney. It's growing. It's growing a bit.
What's going on there? That one has always got something happening.
She's gaining more power as we speak. It just every week they go on, Disney does something. And it's just baffling. The latest here is that Disney has reached out to ScarJo's team to request the suit to move to private arbitration. So they want to do it behind closed doors. And this is a quote from Johansson's attorney. After initially responding to this litigation with a misogynistic attack against Scarlett Johansson, Disney is now predictably trying to hide its misconduct in a confidential arbitration, says John Berlinski, who's the attorney at the law firm who's representing Johansson. Why is Disney so afraid of litigating this case in public?
That's a good point.
It is a good point.
Why do they want this? Sunlight, is the best disinfectant. What are they hiding here?
Mm-hmm. And the article I got this from sort of went on to say that, like, in 2019, when Disney Plus was launching, they reached out to Scarlett Johansson and said, like, hey, we're open to renegotiating your contract because we can see into the future, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but we can tell that this is going to be a way that we are going to be able to be releasing movies, and that will probably mess with your contract a little bit, so, we should renegotiate. And apparently she reached out, but they just, curved her. So we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, it would be interesting to have this go out in public court, which sounds like it's going to be. I know big companies just like to move to arbitration, but I don't know if that has anything to do with, we're trying to hide something versus this is just standard boilerplate. This is what we would do in any situation.
Right. Yeah. Like, is it necessarily indicative of guilt?
Right.
We don't know, I guess. But it's interesting that she's really adamant that it take place in the public eye.
I mean, I sort of would too. And a lot of
she's
stars
got to be confident.
Yeah, a lot of stars are coming out in her favor. Elizabeth Olsen, who was the Red Witch in the Marvel movies and was in WandaVision, right? She was like, yeah, Scarlett Johansson's very strong, and we all support her, and yada yada yada. I mean, like,
was she from Full House, Olsen?
She's the Olsen twins' younger sister.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
I know, which is weird because they're very short and she's very tall. But
is she?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the latest with the ScarJo kerfuffle. Is Disney's trying to move behind closed doors, and they don't want that. Her team does not want that.
Well, you have to wonder, it's like, is this something that needs to be clogging up the court system? Should it go to private arbitration? I don't know. Right. I don't know enough about these things, but I do know this. I personally don't want it to go to private arbitration because I want to know all the details.
Yeah, we need work. If it goes to private arbitration, there's no work. They need to keep fighting in the media.
Exactly. And then there'd probably be disclosures and everything. She can't, no one could like say the results of it, and we'd just be sitting here in the dark.
Right.
I don't want that.
The undisclosed amount of money is the worst like line in a news article you can find, man. It's like, I don't, give me that. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, I just read 3 paragraphs to get to that. Thank you. No.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? I can do another brief update.
Give me an update on your briefs. That's fine.
All right, let's go. Way back in 2019, Target and Disney announced a partnership that would see Disney installing small versions of their retail stores in Targets across the country. Sometime after that, Disney announced that they're closing several retail stores. Now it seems like the Target partnership is becoming more solidified, Jeremy, as news broke this week that Disney will be tripling its number of stores within nationwide Targets to more than 160. So in over 160 Targets nationwide, there will be Disney stores in time for the holidays, which is sort of like the point of everything. And apparently, Target is also partnering with FAO Schwarz, which I thought was out of business, the big toy retail shop.
It's gone away and then it's come back, but it's come back like I think someone owns, so Toys R Us bought FAO Schwarz, then Toys R Us went out.
And Toys R Us is back now.
Well, and what happens with something like FAO Schwarz is, I think it's not like someone owns a toy store called FAO Schwarz. Someone owns that name and then licenses out to toy manufacturers. Okay. And then, that says, here, make these and put your name on it. So I think they control the name and the licensing of it, but it's not hi, I work for FAO Schwarz anymore. So that's probably what's happening there.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah, so I thought, in the news of Disney's closing their retail stores, but they're opening them in Targets. It's an interesting business model. I mean, you save a bunch of money on rent and locations and staff and all that kind of stuff. You have Target people do it. I mean, Target already is basically like these little tiny super micro mini malls, right? Where you go into a Target, you get your groceries, you get your Starbucks, you get your, CVS drugs or whatever. Now you can get your Disney memorabilia there too.
Right. And, I don't know what the agreement is, but often when stores do this, they don't, like Target won't invest in that inventory. The Disney store would own that inventory. So Target gets a cut of the sales. They don't have to have the risk of owning that inventory. Now, that might not be the situation. It might just be that they've figured out something else. But that's often how that works.
Okay. Right.
If you go to a Macy's and you see a Ralph Lauren shop, usually Macy's doesn't buy that shop. That's usually Ralph just operating in there with less overhead and giving a cut to Macy's or something like that.
Sure.
So it works out for both of them.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? It'll be interesting to see, especially around the holidays, what's going on.
I'm sad about it in the sense that I think the Disney stores were already becoming pretty bland and homogenized and not very exciting retail experiences.
Right.
This is in comparison. So years ago, before it went to the Disney store, we had a store in New York City called World of Disney, and it was right on Fifth Avenue. And it was like a miniature trip to Disneyland. I mean, obviously there are no attractions, but it was really special merchandise. The physical layout of the store was really great. It had great music. Like you could go there and just get a little dose of Disney. When when it left being World of Disney, it moved to Times Square and it became the flagship of the Disney store chain. It was just like a big mall store. It was really bland and boring and unexciting.
Right.
And I think when you then go one step further and just become a part of a Target, it's going to get even worse.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's what I don't like about it, honestly. I mean, it's fine for the company, and I get the business move, and like I understand it all, and whatever. But it is one of those things where it's like, what does the Disney name mean? And I understand that also, on top of everything else I understand, because I'm super smart, that we like to put a magnifying glass over this kind of stuff, and most people don't really think about what the Disney brand means, but we need to talk about something. And this is, something that's obviously close to our hearts. I mean, this is our hobby, our passion is talking about Disney and the Disney company, and especially the Disney parks, right? So we obviously have an opinion on it. It feels a little weird. It feels a little funky. Just like, speaking of World of Disney, the World of Disney refurb that they did in downtown Disney in Anaheim. They stripped it from having its own personality It was a little weird, but it was cool. It was cute and quaint and whatever. And then it's just like what they just went through a retail catalog and like, oh, we need a 4x4 stand up here. Buy this one. Let's buy it. And it's just like you're going through them all, and it's sort of sad.
It's not an exciting retail experience. They don't seem to be taking a lot of risks.
Yeah, and I guess in the retail space, I mean, you go with what works. And there's no room for personality. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, why don't you hit us with the story, Jeremy, and then we can come back to this because I have something else to talk about in relation to errors that Disney is coming up with, so to speak.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's going to be very similar to my second story. We've got a lot of errors coming up.
Weird.
What are you?
Spinning ice. I was hoping that you wouldn't. Yeah, it was my bad.
Of course, I'm going to call that out.
Yeah.
You know what? You can edit it.
Yeah, I'll edit it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Let me back up here.
All right.
Well, Jason, Walt Disney World's aging monorail fleet is starting to cause some problems again.
Uh-oh.
Remember a while ago, things were falling off the bottom of it. I mean, this is before the pandemic. I think Monorail Blue was pulling into Epcot, and a big chunk of something just fell off. And it was like, what is raining down from the highway in the sky?
My God.
The troubled monorail system is again showing signs of its age. This week, Monorail Orange, which was just days out from a complete refurbishment. It had just come back a few days prior to this, only to fail again. Monorail Orange lost power on Wednesday, stranding its guests on the highway in the sky in a roasting 98-degree August Florida temperature. God. It got so hot in the vehicle, in fact, that guests inside knocked out the windows of the newly refurbished train. So they weren't waiting around for.
No, you better believe your booty, your sweaty booty, that I would be doing that too. I'd pull that emergency, escape hatch or whatever. I need some air in this thing, dude.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if I would knock a window out. I'd probably knock myself out trying to open the window, and then it would be a disaster.
Well, do the ones in Florida open? Do the windows like slide open? Because I think the ones in Disneyland do, because we don't have air conditioning.
Right. They open in an emergency. There is a thing you can pull in.
Yeah, okay.
It will open. You don't have to just use your brute force.
Just throw your shoulder into it 100 times.
Right. The dead monorail was quickly met by the Reedy Creek Fire Department and their cherry picker, ready to pluck guests to safety, but that turned out not to be necessary. The monorail tow truck that moves along the track came along shortly and pulled the train to safety backwards to the Magic Kingdom monorail stop, where guests were able to exit safely. There were no reported injuries, though I'm sure there were some grumpy, overheated guests. But the monorail troubles didn't end there this week. On Saturday, Monorail Silver lost power shortly after departing the Epcot monorail station while en route to the Transportation and Ticket Center near the Magic Kingdom. I saw this.
Really?
Yeah, I was at Epcot on Saturday. Reportedly, the vehicle lost power due to a lightning strike on the monorail track.
Wow.
Though that specifically is unconfirmed, but I can tell you, having been at Epcot that day, we were hiding in the pavilion because the lightning was ferocious.
Wow.
So it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, we were in the Germany pavilion and waiting to get to our dinner reservation over in China. And there was, that when you see the really bright flash and the lightning and the thunder's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
That happened. And I was like, I'm not going out there. And I looked at my WeatherBug app, and I don't know if you use that app, but it'll tell you how close the nearest strike was. And it said it was 0.1 miles away. I was like, that's in Epcot. Like, so it's plausible.
You think that was the strike? You saw the lightning strike that hit the monorail?
I mean, maybe I did.
Maybe.
I can't be certain.
No.
I just think I did.
That's all that matters sometimes.
That is all that matters. Monorail Silver was met by the monorail tow vehicle. Had a busy week, that tow vehicle. Brought back into the Epcot monorail station, but this time guests definitely weren't pleased. How do I know? Twitter.
There we go.
Monorail Silver has its own Twitter account, though I'm sure it's not actually operated by anyone associated with Monorail Silver.
Right.
I think it's just a person, but Monorail Silver said something like, boy, today was a rough day. And at GTSKLS, one tweeted, currently stuck on Monorail Silver, and the lady behind us just peed in her poncho.
Oh, wait a minute. Ponchos are open bottom. How do you pee? She took it off and like made a cup and held it like a diaper and peed in it? I want to know.
That's my assumption. I don't think she just peed herself because that person probably wouldn't know that if that's the case.
No one else had a cup or a bottle of water. I mean, I guess it's hard as a woman to pee in a bottle of water, but like something like a popcorn bucket, these big plastic monstrosities now. No one had anything for this poor lady.
I think they only had that poncho. That poncho.
God.
Which, at first I thought that and I was so disgusted, but then I thought to myself, I'm like, if I was in that situation and met with that,
what else are you going to do, man?
I would have to do it.
You have to. I mean, I'm sure she was entirely embarrassed. Nobody wants to, construct a diaper out of a poncho and then go. I mean, as guys, I guess we're sort of blessed where we can like, hey, prop me up and I can hang out the window halfway.
Also, I think, and I guess it's all personal, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I can hold a pee longer than I can hold other things.
Other things like a poop?
Yeah. Okay. Like I would not be able to hold the poop, but I could figure out the pee for a while.
Well, you know what? And you're right. And you never know, right? Did this lady have to go and then got in line for the monorail? I like how we're discussing her bathroom habits, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, and this is a prime example of if you feel like you have to go anywhere in the Disney parks before taking that bloody monorail, go to the bathroom because you never know how long you'll be stuck on it.
Correct.
Yeah. Poor lady. That sucks.
I know. It does stink. Well, could have smelled worse, I suppose.
Yeah.
The current monorail fleet at Walt Disney World is the Mark 6 series, which is just one shy of the very newest, which is the Mark 7, which is at Disneyland.
Well, we're the best.
Hey, look, I will cap to it when it's time to.
Uh-huh.
The Mark 6 was introduced in 1989. And was complete. The fleet in Disney World was completely transitioned to Mark 6 from Mark 4 by the end of 1992. So it's 32 years old. The fleet was rumored to be planned for replacement by a Siemens fleet. So this fleet is built by Bombardier. It was rumored a few years ago that Siemens was offering to build Disney a fleet of new monorails in exchange for prominent Siemens branding on the monorail. Disney said no thank you, and the Siemens-Disney partnership ended abruptly and immediately. Siemens was like, then we're out, and we're not sponsoring Spaceship Earth anymore, and we're not sponsoring Illuminations anymore, and we're getting out of here. The relationship really soured after that. Ew. That's the rumor.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I read that as reported. I didn't make it up, but I did read that. I didn't talk to anyone at Siemens.
That's too bad. You didn't do your job properly.
No, I didn't. I just phoned it in. So Monorail Troubles are back at Disney World, but don't worry, they're spending money on adding Christmas lights to Spaceship Earth, so your money is well spent there.
I hope so. I really do.
The 21st Amendment Brewery's latest beer release, Tropical Brew Free or Die IPA, puts an island vacation in their whimsically designed cans. That's right, cans. This refreshing year-round release, Tropical IPA, is brewed with pale and Munich malts, brimming with Azacca, Citra Cryo, and Mosaic hops, and topped with a splash of pineapple flavor. The result is a clean, refreshing beer featuring a mix of sweet malt, balanced bitterness, fruit-forward hops, and a nice tropical vacation at the finish. Tropical Brew Free or Die IPA is available at your local good beer shop, neighborhood taproom, and anywhere else people come together to find great craft beer.
That's right.
That's right, beer.
All right, Jeremy. Well, as you may or may not know, the largest union for Walt Disney World came to terms with the company this week over a COVID-19 vaccination mandate. Members of the Service Trades Council Union, which represents Wow, I'm having a really hard time right now. Let's rewind this. Members of the Service Trades Council Union, which represents 30,000 workers at the Florida theme park resort in the area of hotels, shops, attractions, and food and beverage, are now required to show proof of receiving the COVID vaccine by October 22nd. Quote, the company has established a process to address requests for an accommodation related to the required COVID-19 vaccination due to a disability or medical condition or a sincerely held religious belief, practice, or observance. Okay, sure. Let's pretend that that's a thing. Any union member who refuses the vaccine without proof of medical exemption or sincerely held religious belief will lose their job. However, they will, quote, retain a positive rehire status, the document states. I don't know what religious belief. I mean, maybe there's one out there I'm ignorant of. I have no idea.
Aren't there people? I can't be. I don't know the name of it. I'm not a theologian, which you might be. This might surprise you, but there isn't there a religion? Something scientists, Christian scientists, don't they not believe in any sort of medical intervention?
That I don't know, which would be weird because the science is in their name.
Well, they believe that their religion is this. I don't. I'm speculating here, but I do think that they're. Maybe it's not the Christian Scientists. I could be maybe besmirching them, but I do think that there is a religion that doesn't do any sort of intervention. No, not even cough medicine or, Oh
my God! Imagine
I've
the
heard
hangovers.
Of this. I've definitely heard of it. I don't think it's particularly common, but I have heard of them.
Okay, well, I don't know. It seems weird that a person like that would work at a Disney park, but you have to be inclusive.
That's true too.
But also, like, I get inclusivity, and that's cool and that's great. But when other people's health is at risk, maybe you don't have that. But whatever. The Disney company in late July mandated that all U.S. employees get vaccinated. That announcement came as COVID-19 cases have once again skyrocketed around the country, Florida being severely impacted. Disney says in a statement, quote, we appreciate the communication and collaboration with the union representatives as we put the safety of our cast members at the forefront of our health and safety protocols. The vaccine is the best way to protect each other. The union, which represents Disney World, Actors Equity Association, which is a terrible name, says, quote, the expectation of them has been to monitor their health throughout the time they've been at the parks, and this is just one more extension of that. So what's happening in the parks is that employees are getting COVID tests weekly, vaccinated or unvaccinated, I think. But they are getting tested.
It must be unvaccinated. I haven't heard any of my cast member acquaintances talking about weekly tests.
Okay. Yeah.
So it must be for unvaxxed.
It must be, yeah. Which is good. That means that people are, they're doing their best, I suppose, until the union can come to an agreement, because they did mandate that all non-union workers get vaccinated. That they can control, but unions, they got that stranglehold on that labor. You know what I mean? Anyway, Disney World will host on-site vaccination areas for employees. So lucky, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just go to work and get vaccinated. And then, when Taryn and I got vaccinated, it was through Taryn's work. And, she works for a company who owns senior living facilities, and they were hosting the vaccination site at one of the facilities. And it was weird to me to see just the employees there getting in line. And I'm like, is it before your shift? Is it after your shift? I would 100% go, I'm taking you give me a day off doing this, man. I don't know. I think some people just got it on like their lunch break. I'm like, I don't know, man. Play it up a little bit. Like, give me a free day.
I believe, and this is from talking to cast members, I think Disney gives you 4 hours of free time to go do it and get it done.
Okay. All right.
I think that's the policy. It's been a little while because mostly now everybody's been vaccinated for some time, but this is a few months ago. I kind of remember that being what they were letting you do.
Got it.
Something like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, all right. You want my next one?
I want your next one, Jeremy.
Well, this is an interesting one. I'm a little bit a part of it, sort of, not really. But I don't know if you have heard about this.
Never become the news, Jeremy. Good reporters are never the news. We report on the news.
Well, I'm telling you, I tweeted. Okay. I certainly tweeted.
All right.
Last week.
I certainly tweeted.
I know, and then I deleted some because I was like, I gotta stop. Like, what am I doing? But last week, so here's let me set the table for you.
Please do it.
Crowds coming out of the Magic Kingdom have been ferocious, okay? Because the fireworks are taking place at park close. So it's like once you're done, you got to just get out of there.
Right.
Whereas before, maybe they would be like an hour before park closing. So now it is this mad dash, and crowd control has become a real issue as you're exiting the park. And then the transportation beyond that has also become an issue because you've got your boats, your buses, your monorails. The monorails, they're just stuck up there. God knows what's going on with them. So there's a big glut. And so they're trying to find ways to deal with the crowds that are just heaving out of the Magic Kingdom at the end of the night. Well, last week, for about 4 nights in a row, people were noticing as they were leaving the Magic Kingdom, and you get to Town Square, and there's an old 1910 era train station, that there was a plainclothes DJ spinning up there on the platform.
Was it Mr. P?
Doing a DJ thing like, "Hey, everybody, have a good night. We'll see ya. Make sure you stay to the right if you want to go on the ferry." And then it would just be like, "All right, everybody, hey," and like dance with, in Town Square in the Magic Kingdom.
Disgusting.
And it was like plain clothes. He's wearing jams.
Were the speakers broken on Main Street? Were they?
No, there's no speakers broken.
Okay, so there's no reason for this, because and how blind is Disney that people enjoy the area music? Right.
Disney used to have the fireworks spectacular was always quote unquote Disney's kiss goodnight. Okay. You leave the park, the lights are twinkling in the trees, the popcorn lights are illuminating the buildings, you hear the exit music. In fact, some parks, I don't know if Disney World used to do this, but I know for a fact Disneyland Paris did this. They had a different morning entrance music versus an evening exit music on Main Street. It would have a different tempo to kind of ease you out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. Well, Disney World management or whoever is making decisions down there said, we need someone to rally the crowds. Get a DJ up there. So here you are, this awkward, you're leaving, you're like, what is happening?
Oh, God.
Well, many people took to Twitter, but one account in particular called Mickey Views. This is an account I follow, and mostly it's just blogs and videos and whatever. It's literally Mickey Views, He's not happy about it. And he posts, he's like, this is the cheap kind, I'm paraphrasing. This is the kind of cheap crap, terrible decision, out of theme, disaster that we have been dealing with. This is what's been happening since COVID. They've been using COVID as an example. This is he just basically went on a rant and called Disney out for such terrible, it's bad show, right? Like they've got the 5 keys. Yes. One of them is show. This is bad show. It's really hard to disagree with that. Well, okay, he calls, I'm retweeting him. I'm like, you go, I'm loving it. I even tweeted at Disney World and said, knock it off. Like, I got involved.
Whoa, not the knock it off.
Not the knock. I have zero clout, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't think they cared what I said.
Of course not.
I do think they care what Mickey Views says.
Okay.
So the next night, DJ's up there setting up, getting ready to go. And someone gets a photo of a more senior cast member coming out, and she's like, pack it up.
Wow.
They pulled him at the last minute.
The night
of. It's over. He's not been back.
Wow.
So.
Yikes.
Okay.
That's a big yikes from me, dog.
It's a big yikes. Now, I'm not saying that certainly I have nothing to do with this, but there are people who are thinking like, maybe this guy Mickey Views has enough influence and called them out that someone at Magic Kingdom was like, whoa, we better maybe we need to rethink this.
I don't think so. I mean, from what little I know about how Disney handles their social media, they tag everything. Everything goes into a funnel, and it's just sort of vacuumed up and put into different sections. So if you at them, they see it. Someone on their social team sees it and they categorize it. They catalog it. So I feel like whoever was in charge of putting that DJ out either said, hey, let me look at the social interactions on what's going on, the social commentary, because the only way that anybody in management is going to see if you tweet about specifically this, the DJ thing, the only way they're going to see it is either they're on Twitter physically, which they're probably not, or they ask the social team to give them the commentary on what's going on.
Temperature.
Right. So I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying that Mickey Views didn't whip up a little fervor, a little foam.
Right.
But, you know, it does help when people sort of pile on and go, this is not okay. It could have also been somebody else in senior management was around the park that time, and they were like, what is going on with this?
Right.
Who did this?
Like we definitely don't know for
Correct.
sure how this went down, how the decision was made. What was I going to say? The next, but he was pulled, but then there was a backlash.
There was a backlash?
A backlash to this. People started going in on Mickey View saying, way to go. You got someone fired because you're so obsessed with theming. And now people are piling onto that saying,
God,
you just took money out of this guy's wallet. And then people are saying, oh, so the guy goes private because someone found his social media.
Oh,
and
geez.
Apparently, so this is what one person says, Jesus, I've never seen such a toxic community who are literally bullying a guy for taking orders and having some fun. If this is the kind of behavior and gatekeeping this community has, I don't want to be a part of it.
Okay, then you weren't before, so no one's going to miss you.
Right. So there's all sorts of people who are saying he was being bullied. Now, I have followed this very closely.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Apart from one tweet that I saw that said he has a bad voice, I have not seen anything that directly attacked this guy. It was all about, what is Disney doing? You're not preserving the feel of the parks. You know, this is cheap. It feels weird. It feels off. It's off brand, like we were talking about earlier, protecting this brand. But he's gone.
You know what?
And
you can look at it. You can look at it one way, where he got bullied off the job and he lost his job. Because you can look at it the other way. He shouldn't have ever had the job in the first place. So those couple nights that he had the job that he got paid for were a blessing. Because
it's
they
gravy.
would never, people who work at the parks just now got the ability to wear 2 earrings.
Right.
To wear a mustache. Okay? Like, you can't just have somebody in plain clothes mixing Ariana Grande as you get on the ferry to go back to, the Poly. You can't do that. You're right. It is bad show. And in order for Disneyland to maintain its integrity as being a place of a thematic sort of pedestal, you can't have a guy in Yeezys, mixing it up a little bit on the 1s and 2s.
Right. And that's the thing is, I think where I came down on this was, so this is the new standard now is what? Anyone can do anything anywhere in Disney World, provided they're getting a paycheck. That's the new standard. And if as long as they're getting a paycheck, we can't complain about what we're seeing because that's putting money in someone's pocket.
Right. Because someone has a job.
If you want to pay this guy, if it's a charity, send him over to Disney Springs where we have DJs.
Right. Yeah. Next time any of these people start to complain about, you took money out of this person's mouth, you follow that person on social media. And the next time they complain about something, go, well, careful. You might get the person in charge of whatever you complain about fired. So you don't want to take money out of someone's mouth, so you can't have an opinion. That's not a fandom. The part of being a fan is the fanatic part. That's where fan comes from.
Right.
We're crazy about it. But that's also what Disney is. It's this hyper-realistic, or not even hyper-realistic, it's hyper-fantastic pseudo-realism. Like, we pretend that it's a real thing, and we want to enjoy it. The last thing we want to do when you're fading out from the music and you're walking down Main Street and whatever is to hear, Limp Bizkit or I don't know, whatever he was doing.
Right.
That's bad.
And it's just like, even if it was off of the theming, it's been a long day. No one walks out of that park with a spring in their step, right? We're all being dragged out.
Oh my
The last
God,
thing I need
yeah.
is just more in my face, especially if it's so thematically off. Because another argument people were making was, well, there's no such thing as a medieval castle in a 1910 street either. So if you're so concerned with theming, why aren't you complaining? It's like, come on, guys.
God.
This was clearly off. He's in plain clothes. It was just in poor taste all
Yeah,
together. That's what happened.
Put him in Disney Springs.
Put him anywhere.
And leave him home. Well, I mean, you know what? Look, I stand by my first assertion. At least he had a job. At least he got hired. At least he can put that on his resume. He worked at Disney for a couple nights. That's cool. In this economy, you know, the gig economy of DJs, you got paid, man. And I'm sure that's fine.
And it is very difficult for DJs right now. I think it's better now, but it was a tough go because clubs just weren't open.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know?
All right, Joe, we're going to take a quick break. Okay.
Oh, I love a break.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to do a little bit more Disney news. Hang on, everybody. It's In Depth. We'll be right back. All right. Ready to come back?
I'm ready to come back.
All right. Here we go.
Back to the newsroom on In Depth.
That's right. The newsroom, everybody. Here we go. The illusion that we're in one room.
I like the teletype music going.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
It's good stuff, huh? I love it.
It's so serious.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's do a little bit of villainry for a second. Someone sent me this Instagram account. Probably shouldn't mention the name. And it's a meme, and it says, "Meet Bob Chapek, Disney's newest villain." And I was like, okay, I rolled my eyes, and this person's like, you guys should talk about this. This definitely seems like right up your alley. And I'm like, yeah, maybe like on In Depth, you know?
So the Instagram account is what, just an evil Bob Chapek version?
No, it's not the Instagram account that is. It's the Instagram account is posting a meme, and it's just a photo, and it says meet, you know, Disney's newest villain. And this person's saying, good old Bobby is going to fit in well with all the Disney villains. Maybe he'll show up in one of the Halloween. Well, first of all, they did the possessive form of villains rather than the plural form, so there's an apostrophe, and that doesn't need to be there. Maybe he'll show up in one of the Halloween parades. I'm only half kidding with this post. Thinking face emoji. Let's take a look at some of the things that have happened since Bob Chapek became Disney's CEO. Number 1, the removal of the free Fast Pass option at Disneyland and Disney World. Number 2, the closure of several Disney stores. Number 3, the closure of Steakhouse 55 and PCH Grill at Disneyland. Number 4, several thousand cast members still have yet to be called back. Number 5, no more Magical Express at Disney World starting January 1st. Number 6, no more free magic bands with the Disney World hotel stay. Number 7, no more extra magic hours on either coast. Number 8, Genie and Genie Plus with lightning lanes and rides you'll have to pay extra for, like Radiator Springs. Number 9, price increases on merchandise. Number 10, ridiculous price on after-hour events in Disney World, up to $249 for a 5-hour event. Just some of the things I've noticed that have happened since Chapek's been the CEO. What are your thoughts? Blah, 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 blah. And it's just, stuff like this drives me up the wall because it's like this person, this Chapek, he does sort of kind of suck a little bit, but like you can't pin all of this stuff on him. Sure, he has a voice, but it's governed by a larger body. He's part of it. He's the head and he has, I guess, final decision. But he's not going to just say, whatever I say is the absolute fact. He may not like a decision to remove the Fast Pass at Disney World or whatever, right? He may not, you don't know that he voted for that. Maybe he got outvoted. Maybe somebody, you guarantee somebody said, you know what, this is a good, it's like, not to mix politics, but it's like with any president, people love to just say, well, the president did this. The president did that. Or it's like when Obama was president, people were really mad about gas prices, especially in California because they're expensive out here. And it's like the president has nothing to do with the gas prices. You can't pin that on him. You know what I mean? But he's in charge. Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't happen. So you can't tell me that Chapek is responsible for all of these things. And this is what I don't like about the Disney fan culture, which I try not to do, is put all of this on like one person, because I understand how large corporations work to an extent where a dumb old Greek man can, really, right? Where it's like he didn't say, you know what I should do? Close Steakhouse 55. Let's just close it. We're done. I think we're done. And then the whole board's going, but sir, Mr. Chapek is, no, I have spoken. And then he melts down into a pile of goo and like skittles off into the vents. You know what I mean? It's not how it happens. You also don't know how long these decisions have been planned for. You don't know how much of this was Iger closing several Disney stores. Do you think that that's Bob Chapek's number one thing to do when he took power? No, because he still hasn't really taken power. Iger is still there. I don't understand this kind of like villainry, this demonizing.
Well, this is your perception, as far as I understand corporate culture, is very correct in the sense that he is actually looping together several division heads. So he's the chief executive officer. He's not the only executive officer.
Right, yeah.
And so he has, I would say, if you really wanted to point the finger, you have people who are in charge, who are at a higher level. I would say Josh D'Amaro is much more closely involved in the decisions to, for example, close retail stores. He's in charge of the products division. I think, or actually, I don't know if retail stores rolls up under him or not, but he's parks and experiences and merchandise or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if there's decisions happening at the parks level, but then even there, you have Josh D'Amaro, who then has the president of Walt Disney World, who reports to him. So you have like many layers. And I actually agree with you. On the one hand, I think Bob Chapek is probably not making all these individual decisions.
Right.
But he's responsible for setting a vision.
Yes.
And is he communicating a vision? And is his vision congruent with what the fans expect? That's where I would say, is he saying, I want you to get profitable and I want you to do it according to this strategy and this vision. And that's, I think, where he would be responsible. But individual decisions, closing this restaurant, doing this and that, those are probably more left up to the presidents of the resorts and D'Amaro.
Well, yeah. And so specifically with like Steakhouse 55, right? The parks were closed for so long and the Disneyland still isn't even back at 100%. So I feel like as a corporation, what are you going to do? Leave this big giant restaurant closed? Or are you going to repurpose it somehow? Are you going to go?
Is it gone for good?
I think it's gone for good, and they're going to put something else in its place. But like, maybe the whole thing needed a refresh. I mean, they're doing refreshes anyway. It could be, and we don't know. It could be this was the plan anyways. The pandemic just advanced it, or it was just perfect timing to be like, well, look, it's closed. Let's do something else with the space. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like if you're moving, it takes what 5 years to bring a plan for a new ride from the planning stages to fruition. How long do you think it takes to do something like let's get rid of fast passes, or let's close a restaurant, or let's close the Disney stores? You know what I mean? So the idea of having a path, yes, he sets a vision, but we don't know how far back that pathway goes. So he can't just come on and go, let's just veer off this way and do whatever I want. We're still going to stick with the plan because he was probably involved in it, but it's not just all him. And we can argue back and forth about when it was or whatever, but it's not all him.
How long did it have to take for FastPass? They just built Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Epcot. It hasn't even opened yet, and it has a FastPass Plus sign. So
yeah, all right. Well, there you go.
Like they are moving. Obviously, these things are happening really quickly in a big way because they didn't have time to react to that. Like they still went ahead and put the FastPass sign up, even though it's completely
true.
Obsolete.
Yeah.
But what I relate it to is, this woman is like, or I don't know if it's a woman or this person is a Chapek Karen.
It's a woman.
Like, what's that?
It's a woman. She's a woman. Yeah.
Okay. And it's just like this. It's like I don't love Chapek. I don't necessarily agree with all the things, but when you start harping like this, it makes me feel like I have to defend him. And now I'm mad at you. I almost relate it to vaccine Karens. I am a fully vaccinated individual. I believe in vaccines. I think everyone should get them. But nothing makes me more hesitant about the vaccine process than the vaccine Karens waving their fingers at everybody saying, you got to get that. I don't like the vaccine Karens. And I'm like, man, you got to be really convincing to get me not to want to do what's in my own health's best interest. But that's how annoying you are.
That have already done.
She's a Chapek Karen, and I don't like her.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in any fandom, it's healthy to have a certain distrust or maybe even a disdain level for the people who are making decisions that you don't like. But when you lump it all together and blame all of this on one person, it does your argument a disservice because it's disingenuous. And all it is for social media clout. That's all it is. This person has like 4,000 likes on this stupid meme and like a handful of comments. Because people, yeah, I love that's great. And then they go and they spread that drivel to other places, and then it becomes like a fact in their mind, which is how we get a lot of misinformation in this country, in this world, is people just don't care. And so they're just doing it for likes, and it bothers me. But I wanted to talk about it because I was asked to talk about it, and I feel cool about that. It feels very good.
I mean, on the other hand, as I'm thinking about it, like I could go on all day.
Yeah,
I do think Bob Chapek is a powerful person. He makes a lot of money. He's responsible for the corporation. And with that comes some responsibility. And if that means he has to take some complaining and he has to take the brunt of the guests' unhappiness,
he gets well compensated.
Go count your money. Go to the bank.
Right. He gets
so I don't
well compensated.
Always feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad for him. I'm saying that it undermines any legitimacy of, hey, this is actually a real thing that he's doing, which is why I don't like him. So if I'm ever having a conversation with someone at wherever about why Chapek is kind of weird, and then this person goes, well, yeah, and he also closed down Steakhouse 55. It's like, okay, you don't really know that. So you can't really, but anyway, it's fine. That's what I have there. You got another story for us, Jer?
No, that's it. I'm all good.
You're all good. Oh, well, damn. Well,
do
then
you have another one?
I do. I have another story for you.
You're full of stories. This is your fourth one.
Well, the other ones were like updates.
You had updates.
Yeah, it's fine. Are you familiar with the band The Sex Pistols?
I have heard of the Sex Pistols. I don't know that I have heard the Sex Pistols.
Stop
What's
it.
a song of theirs?
Anarchy in the UK is like their number one. God Save the Queen. And I'm not going to say Anarchy in the UK. You want to try to play it?
I need you. I know that I've heard the word Sex Pistols before. I certainly do not have it on any of my devices.
No, you don't seem like necessarily like a big Sex Pistols fan.
No, I listen to Tapestry of Dreams. I don't listen to Sex Pistols.
Anything with the word sex in it, I don't listen to.
But you know what I did download the other day? Because I don't know. I think it was in the last In Depth. We were talking about Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
And then I was on downloading some of the songs from Jagged Little Pill. So I was listening today as I worked. You learn. So I'm firmly planted in 1996 every year.
Well, see, God damn it. I don't want this to happen. Well, that's like a live version. I think live versions of songs are never as good as oh, here we go. Okay.
Kind of sounds
Anarchy
like
in the UK.
It sounds similar to what's the? Oh God, no, I can't think of the name of the band, but I love them. Never mind, I've lost it.
What song do they sing? Give me a memory.
I can't think of it. It's like,
all right, well.
Oh God, how does it go?
Yep, no. Yeah, I got it. That's the Jimmy Eat World, man. I know that.
I don't know. They look. I don't know. I don't know who it is. I can't.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough. Well, anyway, the Sex Pistols were like, they ushered in the punk rock era for the most part. Despite only having one album, they did a lot for the punk rock movement, you guys, which is debatable. But anyways, apparently, 43 years after the Sex Pistols' final show, which was in San Francisco here in 1978, the notoriously wry Anarchy in the UK icon, who is Johnny Rotten, who's the lead singer of the Sex Pistols, lost his legal fight against two former Sex Pistols bandmates on Monday over the singer's opposition to their use of the trailblazing first-wave British punk band's music in an upcoming Disney series. I bet you were wondering how we were going to tie together the Sex Pistols and Disney, and anytime I can do that, I'm going to do it. Judge
The Killers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, sure, man.
It sort of reminded me of that's who it was. That's what I was trying to think of. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
Go ahead. This is fascinating. But also,
could you tell I was offended at you when you said that?
Did you? What?
Could you tell I was offended?
You didn't like that I said
No, I didn't really at all. But the Sex Pistols are super influential, so, I'll give you that.
But did you say that the Sex Pistols were from the 70s?
Yeah. 77, I think, is when that album came out. No,
wow, it sounds very much more modern
74. That's sort of like, they were honestly really ahead of their time with their politics and their fashion, and they sort of like really cemented that sort of underground movement that was happening in Britain in like the early 70s, and like really then just kickstarted over here in New York in the 80s. But apparently there's going to be a Disney series on them, which is wild to me, and I don't think I like it. Judge Anthony Mann at the High Court in London ruled that the band's former drummer Paul Cook and guitarist Steve Jones were entitled to invoke majority voting rules against famously snotty Johnny Lydon to license their 1970s era back catalog. Lydon, better known as the Sex Pistols' Johnny Rotten, argued in July that the licenses for Pistol, a 6-part Disney drama about the band directed by Oscar-winning British director Danny Boyle, could not be granted without his permission, adding that the band members' copyright licensing agreement smacks of some kind of slave labor. That's what Johnny Rotten said. And he's basically very famous for just having a lot of opinions about authority in the industry and, money and whatever, but he's, pretty wealthy. He's doing all right. So it's sort of like, Rage Against the Machine, right? Where it's like, oh, corporations suck, but, pay this corporation, $100 to come see us play. Like that kind of like weird, it's showbiz. And Sex Pistols really were good at putting on a show. And that's sort of what they were all about, supposedly, is they started to just put on a show and play music very poorly, but they actually did pretty good. But the High Court Judge Mann ruled Monday it was, quote, impossible to believe Lydon was unaware of the repercussions of the bandmates' 1998 agreement allowing voting on a majority rules basis during his efforts to protect the Sex Pistols' legacy. Quote, a man with those concerns would expect to be made to understand important documents that he was signing. He would not have been cavalier about that, said Judge Mann. He must have made an informed decision to sign it, and if it is a shackle, to shackle himself. Pistol is based on guitarist Steve Jones' 2018 memoir, Lonely Boy, Tales from a Sex Pistol, which Lydon's attorney Mark Cunningham said depicts the frontman in a, quote, hostile and unflattering light, which is basically the vibe you sort of get from him anyways. In reaction...
I was going to say, it seems hot. His music seems hostile and unflattering.
He's like screaming, basically, you know what I mean? And he has a lot of like, very shock value songs, and
they should play it in Town Square as I'm leaving Magic Kingdom.
They really should. They did a movie, and they had a thing, man. In reaction, the first publicity shots of Pistol, Lydon called the series, quote, a disgrace, and, quote, the most disrespectful S word I've ever had to endure, in an interview with the Sunday Times last April. Quote, sorry you think you can do this, like walk all over me. It isn't going to happen, Lydon said. Not without a huge, enormous F-word fight. I'm Johnny, you know, and when you interfere with my business, you're going to get the bitter end of my business as a result. Attorney Edmund Cullen, representing Jones and Cook, said the agreement allowed licensing requests to be approved on a majority rules basis. So you have 3 people left in the band. 2 people say, yes, let's do this. Let's make this money. And Johnny says, no, he's getting overruled. And, you know, herein lies the lawsuit. Cullen noted a court filing that founding bassist Glenn Matlock, who left the band in 1977, and the estate of his replacement Sid Vicious, who died from heroin overdose in 1979. Supposedly, you guys, we don't know that that's actually how he died. Also supported the series licensing. Jones and Cook welcomed Judge Mann's rule, saying, the week-long hearing before London's High Court was necessary to allow us to move forward and hopefully work together in the future with better relations. Yada, yada, yada. The original run of the Sex Pistols in the 70s just lasted 4 years. They released their first single, Anarchy in the UK, in 1976, and then their full-length record, 1977. They had 1 album, and we're still talking about them. Not many bands can say that, man. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty... That's pretty
Killers.
cool.
I'm still talking about them.
They have 1 album?
I have no idea.
I don't know either, man.
If they did, the second one wasn't as popular.
In 1986, Lydon filed motions to block the release of the Sid Vicious biopic Sid and Nancy, which starred Gary Oldman in his first leading role as doomed heroin addict Pistols bassist, which is a pretty good movie, to be honest with you. Sid and Nancy, it wasn't bad. Surviving members have revived the original lineup for several reunion concerts and, blah, blah, blah. But now we're getting to the show. Pistol is being made for Disney subsidiary FX and is directed by Danny Boyle, who directed Trainspotting and Slumdog Millionaire. The 6-episode limited series for FX stars Anson Boone as Johnny Rotten, Toby Wallace as Steve Jones, Lewis Partridge as Sid Vicious, Jacob Slater as Paul Cook, and Christian Lees as Glenn Matlock. Thomas Brody Sangster from The Queen's Gambit and Tallulah Riley from Westworld also joined the cast as McLaren and punk fashion designer Vivienne Westwood.
Oh.
So there you go. It was a cool story for me because it's just sort of a blending of my 2 sections, right? So I grew up listening to the Sex Pistols, and it was weird to see this. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Because I'm cool. I'll keep trying to tell you, I'm cool.
Well, that's like, how do you do like homework to that?
It's hard, but I didn't do well in school.
You're like,
yeah, I did not do very well in school.
Like, that's
at all.
rough. Well, I really much prefer the Killers. I don't know what else to say on that subject, other than I have 2 friends who listen to the show. One is a DJ, and one is Libby, who's really into music. And I have a feeling I'm going to get razzed by both of them for not knowing who the Sex Pistols are.
Yeah, and you should, because it was. I don't know if you're not into that kind of music, who are you going to know? I know you've heard the name before. You had to have.
I've heard the name before, but you played that song, and I've never heard it in my life.
Just iconic song.
Is that their most popular track?
Yeah. I mean, God Save the Queen is pretty popular also. I think those 2 are pretty, yeah.
Brian can't believe that there's no Sex Pistols hour on Spectrum Radio.
Well, considering they only have like 9 songs or whatever, there's not enough back catalog to have a Sex Pistols hour. However,
right. I mean, I'd have to play something over and over again, and I don't like to do that.
Yeah, you love doing that. Are you kidding me? Every friggin' day with this guy. Illuminations. Here's more Gavin Greenway coming at you. Oh, it must be 6 o'clock somewhere. Gavin Greenway is getting a residual check from Spectro Radio.
I write them out myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time once again. I know you've just heard it 15 minutes ago, but it's time again for Illuminations, Reflections of Earth.
And yes, I have a checkbook right here.
I'm sure you do.
So weird. Oh, God. Well, it sure has been another show with you.
You know what? There's one thing that we can't blame on Bob Chapek is that this show happened. You know what I mean? Hey, if you're listening live, I'm thinking about doing like a video broadcast or whatever on Twitch this weekend sometime. I don't know. I'll let you guys know on Patreon or whatever. Also, I'm testing out a Discord server. So if you want to jump in and like help me test it and see if it's like a thing that we should really be doing, send me an email or DM me on social or whatever, and I'll send you the invite for the server. And if you want to come and hang out, it's not a whole lot of people on there. But I'm trying to feel it out before I really, broadcast it and just let anybody kind of like pop in. So let's check that out. Jeremy, you want to get on Discord with us?
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
I also don't know what the other thing you said is.
You don't know anything. Who's Bob Chapek? What's going on?
Oh, Twitch. I don't know what Twitch is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I kind of know what Twitch is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a streaming site.
Right.
I mean,
but I definitely don't know what Discord is.
It used to be just for gaming. Same thing like Twitch. It used to be just for gaming, but now it's like people have it for podcasts and meetings, and it's just like a free place it's like Skype and a forum had a baby. Because you can do voice chat and video chat, but you could also just like create little rooms and be like, so I have one for like news, and I have one for just general Disney chat. I don't know.
And you're on there live?
It's like you just make a post. You jump in and out. You get a little alert. Someone commented on something. Yeah.
Oh,
it's like a chat room.
Okay. Why not just have a chat room?
That's what it is.
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you later.